Good evening, I'm Amaya and welcome to the show which traces the journey that a private company takes in transforming itself into a publicly listed company on the Colombo Stock Exchange. On that note, welcome to Going Public, a groundbreaking new TV series which is a joint initiative of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, the Colombo Stock Exchange, as well as NTV Sports. Now, on that note, I'm going to hand you over to our very capable host this evening. He is the former director of the Securities and Exchange Commission, as well as a capital market expert in his own right, Mr. Vasula Premawardana. Vasula, over to you.
Thank you, Amaya. Welcome to Going Public, and where we discuss companies and entrepreneurs who have just done that very successfully. And here with me today are two people who need no introduction and a company who needs no introduction at all. Here with me to represent Odell is Otara Gunawardana, Chief Executive and Founder, and Sanjay Kulatunga, Director of Odell. Hi, welcome. Tara, welcome Sanjay. So Tara, tell me, when you first arrived back here in Sri Lanka as a young girl, what were your plans? Did you ever believe that you would be here, head of a huge listed corporate?
No, not at all. I mean, that was really not the plan, and it happened by chance. But you know, I'm really happy it happened, and it's been a long journey, starting from virtually nothing, and then eventually coming to bringing Odell to being a publicly listed company. So there have been different steps along the way, and many years of a lot of hard work and different stages of where the company has had to go through. But it's definitely been a very exciting journey.
Fantastic. So when you first started out, of course it was a small company. The urban legends are that you were doing it from the back of a car and various stories. Everyone is interested in you and your company, and we are of course very proud of what you have achieved and where Odell has come and what you have brought Odell to be. Sanjay, what is your position in Odell? You're on the board as...
Yeah, I'm one of the independent directors, and since listing, 3 independent directors have been brought in, and our role is very much to do with governance and basically helping the Otara and the management at the board level.
Fantastic. So Tara, do you see, for example, what made you go public? What was the primary driving reason?
I just think when a company comes to a certain level, I think it's time to look at it in a different way, and it was really looked at on where does the company go from where it was at that time, how does the company grow, what is the future, what is the best possible way forward for the company. And as much as it was very difficult for me to make a decision to let go of the company I founded, it was the right time to do it, and I just felt as the company has developed, it comes to a point where you just feel it is the right thing to do and it's right for the company, and that really was the basis of the decision, was that it was the right thing to do for the company.
So financing plus the structural changes, or what were you hoping that, for example, that this could be a bigger company by listing? Is it the financing that was driving your decision?
Yes, a combination of things. One was financing to be able to grow the company and to take it to the next level. Plus, I'm making it a much more professional organization and something with value to add a value to the company. I think we also tried, approaching various investors. There was always, disputes, or not disputes, but couldn't really agree on a value, because one would say one thing and we would think it was worth something else.
Right.
And so that things like that were happening as well, and really we thought this was the best way to move forward.
Right. So what kind of other forms of capital would you all have looked at before making the decision? Why I'm asking this is obviously there are many companies that are currently listed and there are companies that are not listed. Given that this program is trying to address companies that are either on the verge of listing or maybe even trying to convince people who may have not even decided that this is a good opportunity. So I think it's necessary for us to figure out what was the mindset starting as an entrepreneur and starting a small company, then developing it to a very large company before going public. I guess it's like obviously it must have been difficult for you to transit and thinking of giving up your company. Did you feel of it like that?
Yes, I did, and it's when you started something and you're very much a part of the business for many years, and then suddenly you have to let go of even though I was still would continue running the company. It is a change. It is a change, mindset change. How the company is managed is different, and there is definitely a change overall that I had to get used to. But as difficult as it was a good change, both for me personally and for the company. And I just think it was a very positive move.
Positive change. Sanjay, anything to add to that?
I think in terms of the balance sheet as well, it's about growing. There's a certain amount you could leverage as well, and at that point I think Uttara felt that there was a need to go to the equity market so that it will clean up the balance sheet and also give the opportunity to grow even bigger and faster, and that has been the reason, and from there onwards I think we haven't really looked back on that decision.
So would it be correct to assume that at a certain stage, if you don't move it to the next level, that you kind of feared that you'd be stagnant at that small company, and if you went public, it opens up a whole plethora of different avenues? Is that what?
Yeah, I think it all depends on the capital options you have. I mean, debt is obviously one, private equity is one, getting in strategic investors, as well as the equity market. I think if you plan your growth in a certain way, and the way Odell had planned it, it seems like the correct thing to do at that stage was to go public, and I think it opened the door for much more bigger things than taking the route of debt option at that stage.
Yes, we will probably come back and revisit some of this stuff that you brought up as we explained this. Just to get an overall idea, how was the transition? For example, how did the employees and your operational strategic operations, how did they get affected by listing, or did they get affected to the
obviously there's a change in how you manage the business and the reporting, and a lot of that, the structure has had to change, but it's not a difficult thing to do, and I think it's a good thing to do anyway. It brings in discipline, it brings in visibility to anyone outside, and that keeps you sort of much better better managing. It helps you manage the company better. So it brings a
structure into
it. I think the key is discipline, because from being an entrepreneur, sometimes you tend to do as you please. So and having a board to report to makes you much more like you have to put all your arguments down, and have board papers, and governance is looked at much more with a closer eye. And we have audit committee. I'm the chairman of audit committee, and we have a remuneration committee. So much more structure and discipline, and which I think was the Uttara might disagree, probably the best thing that happened to the company in my view.
No, I'm sure, because at the end of the day, while you are in a small environment, it's of course you can take all the decisions and you take the company any way you want. But I guess at a certain point, what you're also saying is that you need to get more organized, you be more disciplined, and kind of structure the next level of growth. So obviously what you're saying is post-listing was a better period for Odell, as you understand.
Yeah, much more opportunity, and I think when you're growing and especially when you start from nothing, you can take much bigger risks, and the values and the volumes are not as large, but the bigger you get, it gets more and more difficult to take such big risks. But of course, you should, I think, we should never get totally structured into having to not go after that gut feel, and as an entrepreneur
not lose sight of
that side. There has to be a balance, but it certainly does help in making better decisions and informed decisions, and hopefully that's what makes the company better.
Excellent. How about losing confidentiality of your strategies, and losing having to one concern people do have is your whole corporate affairs become public because you're listing. Is that a concern, or how did you all handle that?
It was a difficult. That was one of the difficult changes for me. But not everything is public. There's still a lot of large portion that you don't need to share. But certain things that you do need to share, it doesn't take long to get used to it, and it all helps with where the company is at that moment and where you want the company to head. And it's essential that the public is aware of all that information, and it doesn't take long before you get used to it, really.
Right, excellent. So you didn't have to bring in any new divisions for public relations or anything like that, or did you all currently have that when you all were going into the listing process?
Yeah, we had most of that. It was just we had a lot of advice on how it needs to get structured, and what sort of things you need to report on, and what you need to communicate, and things like that. But it's not a difficult process for anyone to adjust to.
Right. And the timing of the IPO, how did you make a decision on that?
The timing was, basically planned when. I guess when it has to be when I'm ready. Obviously, I have to. At that time, it was just me, so it was when I was ready, and also the company obviously has to be ready. So then it's there are teams that you can, a team of advisors you can go to in different areas where you can get advice on: is it the right thing to do? Is the company ready? What you have to, the process you have to follow. So all that was done, and maybe Sanjay can add on that as well.
I think we need to go to a break, and after we come back, we'll be talking further with Otara and Sanjay. Welcome back to Going Public, and here with me is Otara Gunawardana and Sanjay Kulafinger. And going back to where we left, we were at Going Public decision, the decision to list. So did you feel that when you were on the verge of going public, who helped you make the decision? Who was involved in coming to this?
Basically, like I said before, I had to be ready to want to do that. But when I started the company, actually how it started was I borrowed some money from my mother and my brother, and they all became shareholders of the company, and so we were the three shareholders of Odell. So it was a joint decision and a discussion that I had to have with my brother and my mother, and saying that this is what we should do, and basically a lot of input from my brother as well on what on the plan and probably the best way forward, and various other people who gave advice as well. I think the main thing also is for me to be comfortable with what had to be done, or what was supposed to happen as the next step. There are many people you can go to for advice and different views. I think it's really important to understand the change that will happen, and to be ready for that change. And
so initially, of course, you all had an internal discussion,
yes,
and then obviously you went to the experts.
Yes, yeah.
Right. So Sanjay, what is the process that, if you are talking about once the listing decision is made, then you decide, okay, fine, we are ready for it. What happens next, you think?
I think the first of all, the decision is not easy for any private company to come to terms that they are going into the public domain. Means that giving up not only control, as was pointed out, information and competitor sensitive information, so to speak. So it takes time, and also to put the processors in, to have proper computer systems, the accounts on time, all that is necessary. And once that is there, I think it's a very easy process. Once you make the decision and you think your company is ready and you're ready to go and list, is not a difficult task. All you've got to do is go to a corporate finance advisor, go to a bank and say we want to list it, and to the stock exchange, and they see the approval process is very easy. I think now they brought in introductions back, so it makes it even easier.
That's right.
To list someone who wants to do that.
So in Odell's case, the investment bankers were, whom did you have as your corporate finance guys?
Gosh, I forgot now.
I think John Keels was appointed as
John Keels was there.
Not to mention because of the brother, I guess.
Right. So how long was that process for Odell?
Actually, it didn't take too long. It was about 6 months for everything, from start to end.
Wow, that's fast.
So it's not, and I'm sure it can be done even faster now. If but also it depends on the company has to get ready, and different things need to be put in place in time for it. But there's, John Keels they were very good in.
So as long as you have obviously a competent investment banking firm that is going to advise you, you believe that it is not too complicated. Within 3 to 6 months,
it's not difficult.
You are able to convert an unlisted company to a listed company.
I think it's nothing to do with the investment bank or the listing process, but it's all to do with the decision to list, and whether you're ready to list, and whether the company has the structure in place to list, and that's the key.
Right. So the key factor here is, shall we list or not? So obviously, having jumped that, everything else becomes a kind of a self-rolling process. So what are the results, the challenges, the results and the challenges of obviously going public, being listed, and then post-listing process, when you see the share price move up and down, or when people are asking questions and you need to be able to give them the future plans of the corporate, you have to make account statements and so on and so forth. Is that again another process, or do you believe that similar to being listed, this is something that a company can take in stride and move on?
I think it just falls into place after that, as long as you run the company with the same intention of trying to do what's best for the company, grow the company. Of course, you have shareholders now who are part of the company, and you do what you do and what the plan for the company is in the benefit of the company, plus the shareholders, plus all the the employees of the company. As long as you do it, you go on that path. I don't think it's not difficult to answer any questions or show any any information, or everything else becomes quite easy, as long as you do it with the right intentions of growing a company in the best way that's possible.
Right. So describe the first day of being listed. I think in New York, of course, they go and ring the bell. So what was your Odell experience?
It was quite interesting actually to go to stock exchange and ring the bell. It was really good, and there was a whole team of us that went, and
then like exciting. A horse race, the share starts taking off.
It was a very memorable day.
Right. Yeah, so excellent. So the first day, of course, was very exciting. So how did you feel? Did you feel any different from the day before when you are not listed and you're suddenly listed? And
yes, definitely it is. Actually, it wasn't such a. I didn't really feel much until for the ride up to it, but from the day after, it was really quite a big change that I needed to get used to. It suddenly hit me actually after, but I'm still very glad it happened, and it really was the best thing for the company and for me as well. And I really think it was really the right time for it to happen.
Right. So you felt that it allowed you to grasp a bigger branch.
Yeah, I think it allows the whole point was there, and from the beginning, or what I used to always look for was how does the company grow, and how do you grow the company from one day to the next and 1 year to the next. And so it comes to a point where you're in a position and you think where next. And so this was really the decision that was made for the where next part at 18 years later, and that was really how it all came about how to grow the company further. And this was the best way that
so quality. Yes,
talking about going public.
Yes.
I remember still my first board meeting, and we were invited 3 independent directors to sit on the board, and Otara was on one side and the chairman Ruchi was on the other, and here the 3 of us asking Otara questions, and she wasn't prepared for it. She was quite wondering, like, what are these guys now? I have to listen to them. But over a period of time, I think it has really become the norm where we discuss, and so I think it has been an interesting journey from the time we went public. I don't know how Otara feels about it.
So what would you think is the greatest, at least up to now, the biggest benefit you may have had from the listing decision, other than of course the participating in the share price, but as a corporate?
Well, also for us it was really good where it was a very successful listing, and there were so many people who wanted to who bought shares too, because they wanted to be a part of the brand, and it was really the response was really overwhelming, and it was really a pleasure to see, and subsequently after that, so it gives them a chance as well to be a part of the brand, part of Odell. And then subsequently, it also it has the ability to attract investors. You become very visible to people internationally, people who may be interested in Sri Lanka, who may be interested in retail, and it really helps with that. And I think that was really part of how we how Parks and the next step of Parks and Malaysia also being interested in Odell.
Right. So basically, it helped you attract new investment partners because of the fact that you're being listed. It gives you much more transparency to the public out there.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent. So the Parsons Retail came on board, and they are how much percentage is their ownership here?
They now own about 47%.
Right. And the public owns
about 12
another 10 to
15%.
Right. So you have almost divested half of the company.
Yeah.
Right. And this is something which, of course, most people, I guess, if they're entrepreneurs, will probably dread. But having made that decision, you personally would think this is the way to go forward.
I think so. I mean, I think it's it is a good step to do. I can't. It's a business. You have to do what's right for the business, not not hang on to everything and keep it for your own benefit. And I just felt it was the right thing to do for the company.
And also the key is that just because you had 18 years of success, that doesn't mean that there's going to be another 18 years of success unless you make some strong decisions on being a formidable player in the retail industry. And to do that, I mean, going public would have been the first step, but getting a very strong retail partner to participate in the growth going forward was another. So it couldn't have been done if not for giving them a sizable stake and getting their interest and their muscle behind you to make sure that we put the retail malls and participate in the Sri Lanka's next phase of growth in the retail industry. That's, I think, key.
I think it's time to go for a break now, and we'll be back again with Otara and Sanjay to talk about Odell's Going Public. Welcome back to Going Public. I'm here with Otara and Sanjay. Hi. We were on Parkinson's involvement in Odell. What brought them in as far as you know? What made you think them coming into Odell?
They are a group of about 120 or 130 odd department stores in Asia, and they like to go to countries in Asia, and they tie up with another retail partner to develop and to grow the company that they invest in. So that was really the main interest of Parkinson, and for us it was a great opportunity as well. One was to get the funds in. We preferred to take that route rather than the debt route, and also it gives us a lot of opportunity to tap into their department stores in the future to see how we can link with them. So it opens up a lot more doors and gives us a lot more opportunity to look at different options. How we use the options is we will see in the next.
So they're coming in as obviously as more of a strategic partner, and they have bought a stake into Odell. They obviously like Odell, and they like the economy it is functioning in, and they believe obviously there is something in it for them. So if Odell was what it was, we thought before it went public, would you have foreseen this kind of partnership also, possibly?
I think it would have been difficult for them to come in, and it may not have been of interest as well. I think when you're a public company, it makes things much more much more visible, and and it's much easier to do something like that. To get an investor is much easier.
So another benefit, obviously, other than being, for example, old or previous partners to divest is one. Secondly, when you list, you may have opportunities that perhaps, like what you have seen, big companies, international, global companies may be able to take a stake in you and increase your stake in more or less. Is that something, Sanjay, would you add to that?
Very much. I think Parkson believes in Sri Lanka, and they have looked at Sri Lanka. As Otara said, they are a very big Asian chain with more than 120 malls. And when they decided that in certain locations that they want to go into, they look at a strong partner. And in Sri Lanka, when they decided to come to Sri Lanka, I think Odell was the first choice. We're public listed and we will run company, so naturally they wanted to see whether they could come in and get a stake in us and grow in Sri Lanka. And for Odell as well, I mean, looking at Parkinson's strengths, we felt that it was the best thing to do is to bring them in with a sizable stake, so that we become much bigger than what we are. And so, I mean, it's looking at from entrepreneur's point of view, when you evolve, sometimes letting go is very difficult, but once you let go, I mean, I think opportunities come your way. And I think what has happened is Otara, when Parkson came, to give up to an extent a large chunk of Odell, was willing to do that purely because it will only make her chunk bigger in a sense, once the retail malls and everything comes.
So you're actually not giving something up, you're gaining.
Yeah,
I'd say that, definitely.
Yeah, yes. I think so.
So obviously Parkinson's, of course, like Odell, other investors, there's another percentage of the public that's now out there. How is the relationship with them? As a publicly listed company, do you feel compelled to worry about the share price and earnings, the pressure of reporting every quarterly? Is that a concern?
Yeah, I think as a retail outfit, retail company, you know that it's a cyclical business. It goes through ups and downs. And at the moment, as you can see, retail is a bit slow. But we don't worry about the next quarter or the 6 months results. But what we're doing is making, along with Parkinson's contribution, making strategic decisions that makes Odell extremely well entrenched to benefit from the growth of Sri Lanka. I mean, the Sri Lankan retail industry. So the next quarter's earnings are not really what we look at, but we're extremely concerned about when earnings are not growing. But having said that, it's 1 year down the line or 2 years down the line is what we are really planning for.
Right.
Yeah, I think the focus is still always, how to improve the company, how to grow the company, and do what's best for the company. Not looking at the share price every day and worrying about it, but it has to be looked at. Yes, short term, but also in the long term, what's best for the company and how you really do what's best to grow the company.
I think it's time to go for a break now, and we'll be back again with Ottara and Sanjay to talk about Odell's going up. Parkinson's coming on board would obviously perhaps enlarge your capacities to as your business drives. What are they bringing on board, and what are your plans for the future?
Well, part of the investment of Parkinson and them coming in was to bring in funds to the company to expand further. So we are looking at building larger retail spaces and growing the business by doing that over the next few years. Things are already in progress, and we hope to get started on it as soon as possible. So that really was the main intention of bringing the funds in.
Sanjay? Yes.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of expertise in building retail space, and we feel that with the funds that has been infused, we have about in excess of 2 billion in our balance sheet at the moment, and will help us to make sure we participate in the next phase of retail growth. And I think Parkinson has a lot of, as I said, knowledge in construction and retail space building, so it should be good. I mean, we are looking forward to the next wave of Odell's growth at the moment.
Well, I'm sure so is the public, and they are all interested in figuring out where Odell is and where Odell is going to go. Yes, just to wrap up on what we have discussed so far. Of course, Ottara, you said that this was a privately held, family-owned business that you drove yourself, starting back, way back, 20 years ago, was it?
Yeah,
20 years ago. And you obviously, looking back, have no regrets of going public and being a listed company.
Yeah.
And it has brought you, made you bigger, better, and brought you benefits. You have nothing bad to say about going public.
No, I don't. No, not at all. I really think it's it's when the time is right, it is something that any company should look at and see if it's right for them to do, and it's really nothing to fear going public.
Unfortunately, it's time to wrap up this show and this episode. I have to thank Ottara and Sanjay for taking time off their very busy schedules and coming to our studio to do this show. Thank you, Ottara, and thank you, Sanjay. Thanks. And back to you, Amaya.
Thank you, Vasula. There you go. The only thing permanent about the world of business is change. And we just spoke to Ottara Gunawardena as well as Sanjay Kulatunga, who are representatives of Odell PLC, a company which has embraced change and grown from strength to strength by going public. So we'll be back next week as well with another great episode of Going Public. For now, it's goodbye from us.